Hello and welcome back to Support Conversation Hour for Chapter 20. This will be split into two parts since there are 27 conversations total. The ones listed here will be the first 14 featured. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see the S-rank conversations I have for Byleth. Either way, here we go.
Apologies for bothering you so late. I just really wanted to speak with you.
I'm happy to listen.
Thank you. You see, I've been feeling conflicted about my future. It may seem petty to worry about such things in the middle of a war like this.
Let's hear it anyway.
This isn't something I open up about with many people. Feeling such a sense of inner turmoil while a war rages on, and others are fighting with all they have, well, it feels a little selfish. The truth is, I've wanted to be a knight ever since I was a small child. Not just any knight, like one you might find serving within the castle guard, but a true knight, one serving a master. However, my father has always had different plans for me. He wants me to marry, for the benefit of the Galatea family.
You don't have to do what you don't want to.
Defying my father feels wrong. I've seen how he struggled over the years. His burden has always been far greater than any I've had to bear myself. While he fed me extravagant meals, he subsisted on meager portions and watered-down soups. He never once complained, even though he must have been starving. Knowing his sacrifices, I've never been able to tell him of my dream of becoming a knight. Now that this war has begun, my father has allowed me to fight for my homeland. But even if I do become a knight, I feel an unease deep within me. I fear I will never escape this guilt I carry, that I have shunned my duty as a noble.
Could he not find a way to do both?
To follow both my dream and my duty? I had never considered that as an option. Perhaps there is a way. Even with the academy days long behind us, you're still a professor through and through. Always listening to others' troubles and offering up your wisdom. I really am grateful for all that you do for us, Professor. I hope you'll always be here as a guide to everyone. I know I myself would appreciate that deeply.
And that was their A conversation.
I will not yield! Yeah! It's been a while since I had such a close call. If not for you, Professor, I wouldn't have made it. I didn't expect to be ambushed on a simple scouting mission.
Are you hurt?
You should be asking about the mission, not about me. I have to ask, Professor, what brought you here?
I had a premonition.
So you came to protect me. I'm beginning to understand why your allies love you. These are selfish times. One doesn't expect to encounter selflessness. You're kind. In that respect, I'd say you're much like Lady Rhea.
You think Lady Rhea is kind?
Of course. It's thanks to her kindness that I'm here today. I was an outlaw in Fargus. She took me in and let me live here.
You were an outlaw?
Didn't I tell you? I was born into House Karen in Fargus. They used to call me Thunderstrike Cassandra. I was implicated in a plot to kill the king. It was a totally false accusation, of course. I had to flee the kingdom, and the Archbishop took me in.
Why did you come to the monastery?
I used to be a student at the academy, so I knew I'd be safe here. Lady Rhea saved me once when I was a student, you know. We were tasked with battling monsters, but we were ambushed. I almost died. Lady Rhea took care of me. She didn't mind getting dirty. She took my muddied, bloodied body into her arms. Since then, Lady Rhea has been my inspiration. I will always serve her, protect her, love her. For some reason, when I think about Lady Rhea, your face comes to mind. You've become an important presence in my life.
I'm honored.
I wasn't expecting you to have a positive response. I'm not thrilled about it personally. I am still going to keep my eye on you. Not so I can report to Lady Rhea, though. Just because I want to.
And that is a conversation.
Your Highness, I have one more favor to ask.
Is this about Gustav again? I have plenty more stories about him, but perhaps it is time for you to speak with him yourself.
Oh, it's not about Father this time. This time I wanted to ask about you.
About me?
I mean, I heard all about Father last time, but I didn't ask about you.
Ah, well, I'm afraid there is not much of interest for me to tell you.
Oh, it doesn't have to be funny or interesting. That's not why I'm asking. It's just that I thought I already knew you, but I'm not sure I really do. That day when we were reunited at the monastery, I didn't know what to say to you. So I wanted to prepare some of your favorite food. I thought maybe if you ate something that you liked, you'd cheer up a little. But when I got to the kitchen, I realized I didn't even know what you like to eat.
I see. Well, it's a little hard to say what my favorite is. I just don't really have any strong feelings about food. That said, you're pretty keen on sweet things, right, Annette?
Yes, that's right. I'm at my happiest when I'm digging into a sweet treat. Oh, did you know there's a famous sweets shop in the capital?
Yes. It often had long lines outside, didn't it? The castle guards often spoke of it.
The sweets were so good. They cost a fortune, but I loved them. When Father was still around, we all lived as a family in the capital. Since then, I've had them only a few times. How I'd love to taste them again.
Say, Annette, when this war is over, where will you go? I heard that you were close to Baron Dominic back in the academy days.
That's right. But that's not where I think I'd like to go when all of this is over. I reconnected with Father, so I'd like to live with my family again, in the capital. Also, if I'm in the capital, I'll be able to see you from time to time, right?
Ah, that settles it then. We'll have to get your father working twice as hard.
Father's at a ripe old age now. I'd appreciate it if you didn't work him too hard.
Oh, of course. I will keep that in mind.
It seemed like a final conversation, but they actually have an A+ one.
Finally, you score a point against me on the ground. You have improved, Ingrid.
That was nothing more than a fluke. My technique was horribly sloppy that last round.
It does not matter what sort of technique it was. You won. If this had been a real battle, I would be dead. You wielded your lance well, without any hesitation. Has your approach changed?
You may recall when I said I'm now able to move on, because of you.
I remember. What did you mean by it?
That I finally understand the truth about Glenn. It sounds as though he died with a heavy heart. A heart that carried regret. I had suspected as much. But instead of acknowledging it, I twisted my memory of him to fit an ideal I've been upholding.
I see.
Your Highness, I will not sacrifice my life for anyone. But perhaps instead, I can live my life for someone. I will pledge my life to you.
And how exactly am I meant to interpret that?
However you please, Your Highness.
Oh? Well then. Ingrid, when this is all over, I want you to support and defend me. As my knight. I have been thinking of telling you this for a long time. We get along well, you and I.
As your knight? Yes, of course. Of course I will. I intended to do so for the sake of the kingdom. Together, Your Highness. You and I. Our first order of business. Putting this tragic war to an end.
Yes. And while we're at it, do not die on me, Ingrid. Promise me that.
Yes, Your Highness. I swear it on my lance.
It seemed like it was going a different direction there. But that ends their support conversations.
Is this your dagger, Shamir?
I thought I lost it in battle. Thank you. I wonder if this dagger will ever fulfill its purpose.
Unexpectedly sentimental. I did not think you would be the type to let personal feelings affect you in battle.
I try to think of it as just work, but I'm still human. Was there anything else?
I was hoping we could chat.
That's not like you. Our only common ground is brevity. Now you want to chat? What's gotten into you?
Despite our superficial similarities, we are actually completely different. So, I am interested in learning more about you.
The feeling is mutual. Being born in Dusker, you're an outsider here in Fodlan. I've devoted myself to Fodlan, but really, I'm an outsider too. So there are some things that connect us.
You are diligent, as am I.
Even so, I am not like you, and never could be.
I could never be like you, either.
That's just how people are. Even people with deep romantic or familial connections will never be identical.
That is why we should try to understand each other.
At least you're easy to talk to. You could make a good partner for a mercenary like me.
And you could make a good partner for one as devoted to the kingdom as I.
That depends on how much your master would pay.
I would expect no less.
Enough chatting. We should prepare for battle.
Yes, we should talk again when we have time.
I'm always around.
Their conversations were pretty interesting, but that ends their support conversations, and that was Dedue's last conversation with the units that I have.
Hey, Caspar. Can I ask you something?
Well, hey there, Annette. What's on your mind?
Is there anything you pay particular attention to on the battlefield? Stuff you make sure not to mess up? I don't want to make any major mistakes again. So I've been thinking about how I can improve. But it's trickier than I thought. I was hoping you could give me some direction.
Nothing I can think of. Sometimes you just gotta mess up.
Really? Nothing at all?
Nah, no matter how much you prepare, you're always gonna make mistakes. All you can do is quit worrying and try your best.
I guess that does sound like something you'd say. But I'm not sure how much use it is to me.
That's too bad. It's a great way to live. You worry about messing up, and all that worry makes you nervous, right? So being nervous on the battlefield is the reason you make mistakes you'd never make in training.
Well, yes. People's lives are on the line. If I mess up, they might actually die. When I think that my failures might put everyone in danger,
you gotta quit doubting yourself. It's not helping. You're obsessing about failures that haven't even happened. What's the point in that? Sometimes you're gonna mess up no matter how hard you train. That's life.
So what you're saying is, I should stop being afraid of failure and just try my hardest on the battlefield, like I do in training.
Was I not clear on that? You just gotta deal with your mistakes when you make them.
That really is just like you, Caspar. I'm starting to feel stupid for worrying so much. You're so strong and confident. I really like that about you.
Aw, thanks, Annette. I think you're great too.
Okay, I'm gonna try following your example from now on. It's time I stopped moping around here and put everything I've got into training. Right, Caspar?
That's the spirit. Let's get out there and train. I'll race you to the stables.
Yeah!
That ends their support conversation.
Hi.
Well, if it isn't Bernadetta, what brings you here?
Am I bothering you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I'll come back another time.
Don't leave yet, you just got here. Was there something you wanted to talk about?
Yes. Do you remember that time in town?
In town? Oh, you mean when all those thieves showed up? Whew, that was rough. I heard a bunch of people got robbed.
No, not that. I mean the time I was carried off.
Some thieves tried to carry you off? Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Just tell me which way they went. I'm gonna...
That's not what I mean. Oh, just forget it.
Wait, don't go. What are you trying to ask me?
Will you really listen this time?
Of course. Sorry. You have my full attention.
Do you remember when you carried me to that spot with the really pretty view? Where is that place? I've been looking all over.
The place I took you with the view. Oh, right! Okay, first you go out of the monastery, and... Actually, it's kind of tricky to explain. Come on, I'll just take you there again, but pay attention this time.
Huh? Wait, what are you... No, not again! Stop! Put me down!
Caspar, it's the only way to travel.
Hey, Caspar, care to join me for tea?
Again? Well, let's make it quick. I gotta get some training in eventually.
More training? Don't you get tired of it?
No, I don't get tired of working toward my goals, unlike you.
Me? What do you mean?
Your quest for the perfect husband. I haven't seen you wasting time with any dull-looking guys lately.
Oh, that. Maybe I just found something worth staying in for.
You mean in the monastery? This place is a dump compared to what it was 5 years ago.
That's not what I'm talking about. Honestly, Caspar, you don't understand women at all.
Well, excuse me. Maybe I'm just another dull guy.
That must be why you don't pick up on how I feel.
What?
When I'm around you, I feel like, well, like I can always be myself. I don't need to act differently or flirt or lie. I can just be me. I always said you were little brother material, but when we're alone like this, the idea of marriage...
Nope. Hold it right there. I'm gonna need a minute. I was not ready for this.
Caspar, settle. You might be getting the wrong idea. I was only saying, when I'm with you like this, I can forget all about marriage and just be friends.
Huh? Right. Of course.
Though I suppose relationships like that can also lead to marriage.
Now I know you're messing with me.
I'm not trying to tease. I was just thinking out loud. If neither of us ever find our special someone, it might not be so bad to settle down and spend the rest of our lives together. What do you think?
I haven't really thought about that. I'm not really the romance type. Spending the rest of my life with you doesn't sound so bad, though. But why are we even talking about this? There's no way you won't find someone great.
Stranger things have happened.
Either way, no point in worrying about it now. I'm plenty happy with our current situation. Let's just focus on staying good friends.
Good idea. Here's to us.
And that ends their support conversations.
Hey, Hilda, can I ask you something?
Hey, Caspar. Sure, go ahead.
Well, you know that thing you do where you flirt with guys and get them to do stuff for you? Why don't you ever do that with me?
Oh, you want me to take advantage of you, eh? I'm happy to oblige.
This is very similar to the Dorothea conversations.
You're surprisingly sharp.
You know, Wait, surprisingly? What's that supposed to mean?
I didn't think there was much point in taking advantage of you. You're not one to do favors. So I just never bothered. It seems like less trouble to do things myself.
You really think I'm so heartless that I wouldn't be willing to help you out? I'd be happy to help, depending on what it is you need.
That's not my style, though. I don't ask people to do favors for me. I prefer for them to notice what I want and offer to do it themselves. You're not attentive enough to notice. But you do notice that I'm working my charms on others. How bizarre.
I guess that makes sense. Sorry I've been so oblivious to your needs. But why can't you just ask?
It's pretty interesting because with the last conversation, which was Dorothea one, that's what she was saying to him, that basically he's oblivious to what's going on. Let's continue.
Well, when I ask someone for help, it's awkward for them to say no, so they go along with it even if they don't want to. But when they offer to help, everyone feels better about themselves.
Sure, but if your plan is to guilt someone into offering their help, isn't that the same, or worse?
Oh my dear Caspar, guilt isn't why they offer. But that's neither here nor there. I don't want to feel like I'm constraining you. I like your carefree lifestyle.
I'm not sure I follow, but I like the way you live too. Not being tied down by anything or anyone sounds like a pretty easy life. I get that. If there's anything you really need help with, though, don't be afraid to ask me. Sometimes you can't afford to wait around for someone else to notice.
That's sweet, Caspar. Thanks. Well, since you're offering, why don't you come to my room? I thought of something you can do for me.
Your room? Are you redecorating? Or moving out?
You're really oblivious, huh? I don't know what to do with you, Caspar.
I don't follow.
I could use some help carrying luggage.
Is that it? That's no problem at all.
It's a euphemism for something. But I'm oblivious, so I don't know what that means. Okay, so that ends their support conversations.
Hey, Caspar. You look more troubled than usual.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about the last time we talked. I really admire your strength, and I want to be like you on the battlefield. But I don't agree with your idea of justice. If that's the case, is it bad for me to look up to you? I'm not sure how to feel anymore.
I can't answer that. You'll need to find the answer on your own. I can offer one piece of advice, however.
Sure, anything will help.
When I told you I would cut down children with no hesitation, you looked disgusted. I take it that's the part you're struggling to accept?
Pretty much. I don't think I'd be able to do it, even if that meant disobeying orders.
Well, what if the children had their own weapons? What if they were trying to kill you?
Well, maybe if it was in self-defense. But even that...
What if the children were killing each other? Let's say their families had been slaughtered and they sought revenge. How would you stop the killing? Who would you strike down?
I don't know. I'd have to see what's going on for myself, but even then,
When you witness these horrors in person, it's no easier to decide. In fact, the decision is harder. Choosing to end or spare a life, whether to save someone or abandon them, these choices are always difficult.
Having to choose between life and death.
You have a strong sense of justice. You have clearly defined ideals. But that's not an asset on the battlefield. Ideals slow you down. They cause inner conflict. Making decisions in the spur of the moment, you can't hope to be perfectly fair and just. That's why I choose to fight for Lady Rhea's justice. The justice of the Church of Seiros.
But what about when Lady Rhea's ideals don't really line up with yours? Then what?
Not possible. Lady Rhea's ideals are my ideals. There's no conflict between them, because that's what I've decided. Do you see?
I don't get it. You can't possibly agree on everything.
I have faltered in the past.
That's what I'm talking about. how can you blindly trust some other person's sense of justice?
Not a person, the goddess. I cared about someone, and they were branded a criminal. That's when I started down this path. I didn't know whether to turn a blind eye or mete out punishment.
What did you do?
I couldn't decide, so I looked to the goddess for guidance. Since then, I have devoted myself completely to the goddess. I surrender myself wholly to her will. So think carefully, Caspar. To what will your sword and your heart?
It really makes you think.
Caspar, how have you been?
Oh, Shamir. I've been normal. Yep, totally normal.
What's wrong?
Nothing's wrong. Everything's normal.
Then you should try to act like it. If something is bothering you, say it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm disappointed, Caspar. I thought you were the type to always speak your mind.
Alright, fine. You got me. Truth is that I heard something about you. I heard you fought in the battle between the Empire and Dagda.
Yes. And?
And I heard that you maybe lost someone important in that battle.
Perhaps. What's your point?
No point. Not trying to make a point. I just didn't know you were involved in all that. I was hoping we could be friends, but you fought against the Empire. You obviously have every reason to hate them, so I'm sure you don't want me around.
What does my past have to do with you?
My father was responsible for a lot of what happened to the Dagdans.
Are you responsible for your father's actions?
Well, no, but kinda. I know I wasn't there, but I gotta...
Bring them back.
Huh?
If you're responsible, then bring back the lives that were lost. If you can't, then spare me your pity.
But...
Yesterday's enemy is today's ally. You have to abandon old feuds. Only then can you face me as a friend.
So, Felix, is the tea to your liking?
It is.
It's nice to relax like this every now and then, isn't it?
It is.
You said some of your equipment is damaged, didn't you?
It is.
Are you not in the mood to talk? We could discuss your family or what's happening in high society. Flavors of tea? Your favorite jokes?
None of those. I already told you, I don't joke.
Of course, only cynicism. Oh, I know. We're holding a small opera in the cathedral soon. I'll be singing too. If you're interested in... but of course you aren't.
You can sing?
I'm sorry. What did you just say? Can I sing? I was only a diva of the Middle Front Opera Company, that's all.
Oh, right. I forgot.
You forgot. Am I that uninteresting to you? What must you think of me?
You're insincere and loud, is what I think. But you do make a good sparring partner. And a good tea companion.
Oh.
Anyway, when's the concert?
It's an opera, and you don't have to come.
You just invited me. You can't tell me not to come. That's for me to decide.
Oh, then you must be there. I'll sing my heart out just for you.
I haven't said I'll go.
Are you going to come or not? If you keep teasing me, I might just pretend to cry.
Fine, I'll go.
Fantastic! I look forward to it.
feel like he was actually joking there. So that ends their support conversation.
Professor Hanneman, how unexpected.
Hello, Miss Dorothea. There is something I would like to ask you, should you have a moment.
And whatever would that be, Professor?
It's just some rumor I heard about your prejudice against the nobility. You remember when you came to me before, and we talked about how I used to be noble? I was just wondering what your aim was.
To clarify, I only hate nobles who are obsessed with their status. You're not that kind of man, Professor. I mean that, really. And it sounds like you never were.
I see. But hating nobles obsessed with their status, you must have had some terrible experience in the past. My apologies. That was rather presumptuous.
No, it's fine. As I'm sure you know, I was a highly praised songstress for a time. Before I was a singer, though, I was an orphan. And before that, I was the daughter of a noble's maid.
My goodness! From an orphan to a renowned songstress. That is quite a life you have led, Miss Dorothea.
Well, I don't remember much of my early years. My father was never there, and my mother was driven out of the noble house where she worked. Before long, she fell ill. I was always alone, and I lived in the alleys of the imperial capital, just trying to survive from one day to the next.
I see.
Eventually, after I became a singer, I met the nobleman that I think is my father.
Oh.
He'd had a child with a maid, but the child didn't have a crest. So he threw them both away. Those were his very words. I can't prove that he really was my father, but I suppose it doesn't matter. He didn't know who I was. And when he flirted with me, my feelings were something beyond fury. I was dumbfounded. In truth, I felt that way about all of the nobles who flocked around me, yet would just as easily have tossed me away should it better suit them.
You have my most heartfelt of apologies, Dorothea. I am afraid my curiosity has opened old wounds. Sadly, it is undeniable that the nobility is full of such terrible people. Perhaps even myself.
Professor?
Oh, it is nothing. Just lost in a memory of my own. Just know that I will do my part to ensure that you always know kindness in this world.
Thank you.
That got deep.
Dorothea? You look as if something's terribly wrong.
I do? Oh, nothing's wrong. Not really. I've just been thinking about the future. And what happens when the war is over.
And tell me, what is your vision of the future like?
Well, I'm not entirely sure. I guess I don't know what to expect. In my life, I've met all sorts of people who've lived lots of different ways. So now I'm trying to figure out how I want to live. I'm free, unlike so many people. I have the ability to take control of my own fate. Like you.
Well, I quit the opera to join the Officers' Academy as a professor. Then I joined this war because, well, I don't know. I'm hoping for an end to it. Peace for the world. Even though I took control of my own fate, I still haven't found the man of my dreams.
You'll find him. He's out there somewhere. You know, there is one thing I want for the future.
So, you've got a dream after all.
Well, it's a dream I've always had. You'll think this is silly, but I'd like to stand beside you.
I don't get it.
When you left the opera company, I took your place. I stood center stage and sang, and everyone cheered for me. I wish the cheers were for me and you. I wish we stood on that stage together.
I have to tell you something. The first time I saw you on stage, I felt you were the one I wanted to hear sing. I already had plans to leave the opera company, but when I met you, I knew I couldn't leave until I saw you take your rightful place. You're right, though. It would have been nice to stand beside you on stage, even just once.
Maybe we weren't together then, but we're together here, now. And in the future, maybe it won't be so bad if you never find that man of your dreams.
What do you mean by that?
You and me. I won't find a guy either. We can just be together. I think that'd be pretty nice, don't you? Living together and doing whatever we want.
Huh. You know, that could be nice. It'd be like you and me, finally together on stage. The lights shining down, our gowns and jewels sparkling. Just us.
Sparkling in the stage lights forever.
This stage that we call Planet Earth. So that ends their support conversations, and that'll do it for this part. Next time will be the final 13 support conversations for this chapter. Until next time, I'll be seeing ya.